welcome for the Better Finance category. My colleague Sheran is going to talk you through a few examples, a few ideas, kind of just an open session to have a chat around the category. If you've got any ideas, thoughts, questions, as ever, pop them in the comments and we will go through them. Yeah, looking forward to it. So over to you, Sheran.
Hey everyone, so I'm Sheran. I'm the head of customer success here at Showcode, and I've been in the startup scene for about 8-9 years now, working across a variety of two-sided marketplaces focused in prop tech and in FinTech. And I just wanted to go over how I've seen the application of gamifications in places I've worked, but also more importantly as a user in apps that I've interacted with and what I've found kind of useful for me. So I'm gonna share my screen. There we go. That should be up in a second. Perfect. And I'll go through the format of this shortly. So, before we kick off, right, I think the core thing to always go over is what is gamification, right? Gamification is the craft of deriving all the fun and engaging elements found in games and applying them to real world or productive activities. And just want to make sure, before we do any of our chats, you keep that as top of mind when you're entering this hack. It's looking at the way video games deploy certain behavioral loops to get users to do a certain action, feel a certain type of way, and applying that to your everyday application of things that you use. And I want to go into a couple of principles in gamification, right? Specifically, challenge, insistence, clear goals, feedback, failure, encouragement, reward, and coaching. And I'm going to break them down kind of one by one, and alongside that, showcase a app and a bit of background on an app in the financial services sector that uses those types of principles in their application. And I guess to begin, let's talk about challenge. So the first and main task is to invite your user to participate in a contest with a system or other users. Your app should set a very clear task or challenge for your user with clear rules and clear terms of fulfillment. It's very important here to make sure that the conditions of rules are clear and transparent. And if they seem too complicated, users will likely kind of be dissuaded. They'll probably quit. They won't interact any further. So it's good to have clear, succinct tasks that users should do on your app. And the app I'm going to cover for this is something called Long Game. So Long Game is a San Francisco-based startup that focuses on helping people save through a gamified manner. And I think really set the scene for Long Game, we need to cover a couple of stats that their whole problem is based on what they're trying to solve. So in the States, 40% of Americans have no savings, 70% have less than $1,000 in savings, and 63% of Americans can't cover an unexpected $500 expense. So people are very much in this lifestyle where they're living paycheck to paycheck, and it is very difficult to accrue savings. Now, this problem is amplified even more with the stat that Americans spend close to $70 billion on lottery tickets every year, and the average household spends around $550 annually on lottery tickets, right? So what is Long Game? What are they trying to do? For them, they're looking at the leveraging the behavioral economics for understanding what motivates people to spend on lottery and gaming, and deploying those in savings. The company offers ways to create savings accounts and reward users with virtual coins that can be used to play games on their mobile app. And actually, a couple of the apps I'll cover today utilize this in different forms. I think savings is a very hot topic, personal finance issue. People aren't always the best at it and could do a bit better. And these apps kind of leverage that. And the cool thing is, seeing the stats that come out of this. So Long Game has around 70,000 users who on average save around $60 a month that goes into their savings account. So it is something that is actually working and actually helping people. And I am just going to jump onto their website very quickly and just show you a bit of what it looks like, what it is. So it's a very gamified experience. They're taking the whole application of savings and they're adding a bit of fun to that. So what happens is when you set aside money, the challenge here is to set aside money, right? When you set that money aside, it accrues you points outside of the interest you're accruing on that savings. And then you use those points to play games where you can unlock prizes, get into raffles, and win potentially additional money on top of that. So it is very much working on this premise of a lottery style reward system. Um, but I think it's a very unique application to savings. And just so you're aware how their business model works, right? Because I think with building applications, you need to think about the commercial viability of an application for it to be successful. So for them, they make money through transactions and taking a bit off transactions up on the platform. So people withdrawing savings or a bit of the interest grown on it. And they also have a marketplace that refers you to other suppliers. So it could be banks, it could be, let's say, setting up a retirement fund or a pension or things like that, and they'll make money through referrals to ancillary suppliers. So that's their basic business model. And for them, right, it's using gamification to provide a better experience for users to save money, leveraging the behavioral economics behind lotteries and applying them to savings. The next principle is failure, right? So just the basic premise of the game. If there's a game, you will have a winner and you will have a loser. And so it's a natural part of that gamified interaction. And if you don't address failure, you can dissuade users to come back again. So failure is a nice opportunity to get people to re-engage. And failure go along a couple of other points we'll cover, like encouragement and insistence. But failure on its own shouldn't be seen as a negative opportunity, but actually an opportunity to start over, to let the user know they have more than one chance and to try again. Under such conditions, right, users will want to try again and maybe even more zealous the next time around. And the app we're going to cover for this is Revolut. If you were on our panel session earlier today, we've talked a lot about this one, especially their new kind of gamified onboarding experience they've launched a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to jump onto the site and talk you through their experience and how that kind of works. And here we go. So for those who aren't aware, Revolut is kind of self-described as a super finance app. It's your bank account and then some. And because it has a lot of different moving parts, and it's something kind of relatively new in the space when it comes to banking, one of the issues they have is getting their users to engage with all the different moving parts. So what they've done is they've employed a gamified onboarding experience that starts off with a series of challenges that you accrue points. These challenges are pretty straightforward. Things like invite XYZ users, do a card transaction, do a online transaction, exchange money from one currency to another by cryptocurrency. There's a variety of different things you do, but all these actions engage you with a different part of the application you may have not come across on your kind of organic journey through it. And what's a key part of their point system is that every week they have a raffle, they give out prizes, and there's only X amount of prizes and significantly more users participating. So what I find interesting is the way they kind of deploy encouragement through that point. So in each weekly draw, you get a notification. That notification says scratch here to check if you've won. When you scratch and you lose, you'll get nice words of encouragement to try again. They put very clearly what are the next steps, how to get more points, when you'll be up again. So they really kind of put forward a strong call to action and bring you back in to try again, to let you know this isn't your only opportunity to win at this game. But in this process, right, what have they done? They've gotten a bunch of users to engage with different parts of their application they may have not used on their own. And they've done it in a way that isn't super kind of onboardy, do X, Y, Z, do this, do that, and then you complete the end of the kind of the onboarding progression area. So if you want to get onboarded, they give you a means to do it, and they do it in a way that rewards you for doing so. And it's a pretty decent application of gamification. So what goes hand in hand with failure is insistence, and then the one after this, encouragement. But with insistence, right, you want to offer users the chance to play again, go back to your app in any available way possible. So it can be a push notification, reminders, alerts. The more you ping a person, the more often they open your application and they use it. I will say, though, this is a double-edged sword, and there is a fine line between persistence and annoyance. And 9 times out of 10, you will cross that line trying to find the right feel for how many times you can ping a user. And the app we're going to cover in this one is called Flourish. So Flourish is quite interesting. It's very similar to Long Game, except its core demographic is aimed at minorities and immigrants. And it's interesting. So they started in 2017. Two students from UC Berkeley. One of the founders had immigrated from Brazil with his family, and he kind of talks about the how growing up his mother worked double shifts at various odd jobs to help make ends, while they knew savings was important for their future and would play a crucial part of it. Putting money aside was often more an aspirational goal rather than an achievable one. So their idea behind this is to create a tool to help minorities and immigrant communities build financial health habits and save money. And they use a very similar model to Long Game in that they put out kind of a system where you accrue points through saving money. These points can then be used to participate in raffles, play video games, unlock discounts, and then from there you will win rewards. And a part of this process is using notifications to tell you to come back in and make sure you don't miss this weekly saving goal. So I'd say that's how it ties back in with Insistence. Insistence is an interesting one because you'll see all applications use it, right? Notifications are a core part of that app experience. But I think what's unique about Flourish is I think what they're trying to achieve here is to help people who may not necessarily be seen as the ideal demographic for banks, for savings accounts, for other businesses, and giving them the right tools to utilize those facilities properly and enable them to, reach a sense of financial security and build better financial habits. And just to go back into like monetization model and how they work, still very similar to Long Game. I would say the way they also monetize in addition to referring like marketplace services, taking percentages of transactions, is that they're able to build out consumer habits through what they purchase and profile individuals and provide them with other kind of products they might want to buy as alternatives at a more discounted rate. So what they do is, getting a long stream of data on people's spending habits, finding out what might be the right thing for them, and then providing them with products that could facilitate that at a better cost than what they're currently paying for them, which is, another unique kind of commercial model. Now, to jump into the next principle alongside insistence, we've got encouragement. And encouragement is a very important aspect of the gamification process. It goes hand in hand with how you deal with failure, how you deal with the reward, the way you incentivize people to do X, Y, Z. Encouraging users every time they fail. It can be a simple phrase, not to give up, but to continue. Maybe a quote from a famous person. The goal here is to try to excite customers and make them want to try again. And for this, I don't have a particular app in play. I think we'll cover off the next app in the next slide, but you will see encouragement in a lot of different things. It's from, if you look at the Revolut text, better luck next time. Don't worry. There's a prize draw every week. Keep collecting points and you'll have a chance of winning in the next draw. You've got, you can do it. So there's a variety of things you can do to encourage your user, but you should definitely utilize encouragement as a part of the gamification principles you apply to your app. Following on encouragement, we've got a clear goal. I think super important, right? It's the aim of the game. Don't let users forget about it. Why are they here? What is their purpose? You can give them a chance to set a goal by themselves. All you need to do is show it from time to time. And encouraging doesn't really work without that clear goal, because if users forget why or he or she are here in the first place, it makes it difficult to incentivize them to come back. And it's not just having a goal; it's being clear. The aim is inconspicuous, and if the aim of your goal is inconspicuous or doesn't attract a customer, it's not going to succeed. I think goals are an interesting one, and the app we're going to cover for that is called Blast. And yet again, it follows this theme of savings in a gamified way. But I think this one's quite cool because one of the setbacks of the user experience with things like Long Game and Flourish Savings is that the games you're using to play to save money and have that kind of lottery-esque experience with are games that are on their app and not kind of the general games you might tend to play on a day-to-day basis. So Blast takes that similar principle, but kind of retweaks it for the modern gamer. And so the whole idea behind Blast is you set up, let's see if I can scroll down, there we go. You set up savings goals, and with these goals, you unlock kind of certain achievements in the games you play that help boost the amount you save. So the goals are powered by you. Every gamer's savings needs are different, creating goal made for you by you, whether you're saving for the next accessory or new console. Combine your saving powers with goal boost to get the things you want smarter and faster. They've got like a very clear explanation of what they're trying to do here. Set a financial goal. You'll see this over and over again as you progress. You'll see how that number grows and increases to your target. And then in addition to the savings you're accruing by putting money side to side, they have a system of points that has some cash equivalency to it that you gain by playing video games. And so their whole idea here is that you should leverage your, regular actions that you do in video games and apply them back to being able to save money. And I did a bit of digging to understand a bit more about their monetization model, but I think here, outside of leveraging things like, taking bits of transaction fees, taking bits from interest accrued, there's also the user data you collect on habits of what they're purchasing, what they're saving for, the type of games they play, when they play it, how much time they invest there. So there is a bit of data farming that happens that I imagine they use to monetize. I guess the thing that sticks out to me the most is that they've taken this application of savings and they've been able to use brands of games that people in the gaming community play relatively significantly. I'm sure all of you heard of Pub Night, Fort G, Overwatch, my favorite, CSGO. So I think it's a bit more niche than these two, but I think as for me personally, if I were to try any of the three, this would probably be the one for me. Now, jumping back on to the next principle. So rewards. Rewards are vital, right? It's the reason, it's a kind of natural conclusion to this whole process, right? Why are they there in the first place? It's what they're going to win. And rewards can range. They can be, real or virtual prizes. It could just be, the title of being champion. There's a lot of ways to reward somebody. What matters here is the desirability of the reward, and it has to be something significant. And I say significant, it doesn't need to be necessarily cash significant. It always helps if it is, right? If you know you stand a chance of winning $10,000, well, yeah, there's 10,000 reasons for you to do something. But there's also a lot of value that comes from a title. So we host a competition called Unicode on our platform, and Unicode is a coding competition that allows people to do algo challenges and compete university against university to find out who's the best. And in addition to a cash prize, actually one of the biggest rewards is the bragging right to say, hey, we're the number one uni at this. So I would say, don't leave out virtual prizes or titles or the praise of being the champion, because there's something special to that. And the app we're going to cover for this one is Mint. Now, Mint is a bit older than all the other apps we've seen so far. They came about in 2017. And Mint is a budget tracker and planner, and they utilize a lot of different parts of gamification, not just a reward. They are a tool for people to better plan their how do I explain it? Basically, have a better oversight of their financial life, all in one app. So it's something you can track cash flow, save smarter, unlock insights into your financial health. And the way it works is it syncs with your bank account, your credit card, your retirement accounts, and it tracks your income, purchase and savings all in one place. And the idea is that it allows you to better understand what your daily expenditure looks like, allows you to set a budget, plan things through, create goals for yourself. The way this works is just having a more gamified financial experience that allows you to see, okay, this is my net worth, this is how much I spend. It gives me more insight into where I'm spending money, where I could save money. You kind of have this dashboard of yourself where you can go back and see, oh, my subscriptions have gone up, or I've had all these unintended expenditures I wasn't expecting. Their whole application is utilizing gamification. the way their business model works is they will have like a subscription fee to use some of their premium services. And I've got to look into it now. They were acquired back in 2009 by Intuit. I think this is another application that uses gamification heavily throughout its user experience. And then let's jump in. So after rewards, what do we have? Feedback and insights. And by this, I don't necessarily mean quizzing your community and asking them for feedback on your product. It's rather you as an application providing feedback to the user of why something has happened. So in some cases, users don't understand what's going on or what's going to happen next. And it's good to prompt that action beforehand, because it might give them a moment of, actually, I don't know what's going on, I'm going to leave. And they just exit out of the app. Feedback is a fundamental part of any game. So users know exactly why they failed or won. And almost any interaction with the system should be commented with some type of feedback. And I don't have a specific example for feedback or insight in terms of apps, but I think, probably open it up to the community here. If you've seen any interactions where you get feedback from an app, I'll probably cover a bit of feedback in the next fintech company I cover. But I think feedback is essential. And I'd say between this principle and the next principle, which is coaching, the difference I'd kind of say between feedback and coaching is feedback is think more tactics, so immediate action-based explanations, while coaching is more of a longer scale action that you're helping with. So I'll jump into the next one, which is coaching, right? Coaching is an important principle to apply, but you should always make it optional. Some customers prefer guidelines and to be prodded in the right direction. Other customers don't want it at all and are self-sufficient at going on it on their own. For those who are doing it for the first time, you have to add small tips so users don't close your app the second they feel a bit confused. And coaching will range from an onboarding experience that you get when you first sign into an app. Look at this action, look at that action, do this here, this is how you set this is how you set that. But coaching can also be very long form as well. And I think Emma is a great app to showcase that, where it effectively coaches you to have better financial habits. And I'll jump into that and show that in a second. But I think the thing to think about coaching here is that where you are employing it, do make it optional for the people that don't want it, but do in the first instance engage your users with that as an option. So let's jump into Emma. Emma is they kind of class themselves as your best financial friend. It's your kind of digital financial coach. And the whole idea of Emma is it's a UK-based company, so it utilizes open banking very heavily and allows you to put in all of your bank accounts, credit cards, pension funds, so on and so forth, and see exactly where your money gets spent on a kind of weekly, monthly, yearly basis and total to date basis. It shows you how you're doing week on week, and because it has kind of all this historic data on you, it can tell you, hey, normally you spend XYZ on groceries, but this week you've spent £10 more, or actually, you spent a bit less on Uber this month than you did the month before. So yeah, in terms of your forecasting, you might have a bit more money to spend. And I think what they do is really good, because they leverage all these parts of gamification. You have these notifications that pop up that when you've spent money, when you've saved money, when you've gone above certain thresholds you set for yourself. They let you know when up and coming kind of events are happening financially. So when a subscription is about to go out, when a mortgage needs to be paid, so on and so forth. But it's a nice personal financial planner that allows you to just keep an eye on it. They also utilize gamification in their onboarding process as well. So when you first sign up to the app, you do have this points-based system where you can accrue by referring friends, by doing certain actions, by syncing certain integrations in, and you get rewarded through a kind of a swag store or like a merchandise store that gets you different things. So X amount of points might get you a t-shirt or a laptop or a variety of different things. So I think, if you ever use something like Emma, you will see it employing a lot of different principles of gamification in one go. And in terms of their revenue model, they effectively work in a way where they refer to different products and services. So effectively a marketplace where they take referral fees. So for example, because you provide them with your credit card data, they can see how much debt you might have, and they can help you look for a loan to consolidate that and offer you a loan through a third party provider. Or they might look at, oh, I see that you've not put any pensions in. If you've not had a pension provider, try PensionBee or something like that. And so their revenue model at the moment is through marketplace, but also through data farming to be able to see people's transactions, to be able to classify that. And I'm not sure if they do or they don't, but they do have the utility. So then sell that data on anonymously. Now, don't quote me on whether they do or they don't. It's just that that feature definitely exists, and it would not make sense that they didn't. But yeah, I think that covers off a nice selection of apps that utilize gamification in finance. I'm sure there's plenty more. And this is where I want to open up the floor to everyone here that's watching of, what apps have you seen that have been successful in kind of gaining your attention, getting you to come back, keeping you retained on the platform? What's worked best for you? And has that actually helped you financially? Have you seen a benefit to your ability to save or ability to track your budget better? I'd love to hear from all of you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Sheran. While everyone kind of mulls that over and shares their thoughts, hopefully in the comments of apps that they found useful, or whether they've used any that Sheran kind of went through today and what they think of those, it'd be great to hear. But just in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, a quick question from me, and I guess not to put you on the spot too much, but with the hack obviously on the way tomorrow and better finance being one of our categories, I think it'd be good to kind of get your thoughts on how wide a scope that can be as a category. So, finance is obviously huge, and something that you're quite familiar with your background in fintechs and things like that. So I think we've had some great examples today so that we can see it, but I think it'd be great to hear from your perspective, just how wide a range of an impact you can have on finance. It's not just kind of helping budget and stuff like that. It's a massive scope.
Yeah, it's you're right. It's humongous, right? And I think just so you're aware where finance ranges, right? Like all the examples I've covered for the most part are all personal finance, but then you also have commercial finance. How do you help small businesses? How do you allow people to understand what's the financial health of their business and things like that? You've got things like trading. You've got things like savings, you've got transactions, and there's so much you can do in this space, right? It's hard to say go do this or do that. I would say the one tip for me for something like a 48-hour hackathon is, though the scope can be so wide, find a very specific problem, find a niche problem and try to solve that. You've got 48 hours. So I think the approach would be, what is something in your day-to-day life that you think would be better if it was gamified? For me, it'd probably be like, what's an easier way to save money? So how can I, convert every time I spend at, let's say, Tesco or something, and have that round up to the nearest pound? Well, what can I do to make that a more exciting experience so I make sure I keep doing that? There's a lot of things. And I think, the interesting in the gamification space is teaching good financial habits to the youth, right? Because it's something that probably isn't taught enough in our contemporary education system. But, if you start people early on to understand that, some of the best ways to earn money is to save money, it probably goes a very long way. So I think gamification could be definitely utilized there. I know I didn't exactly answer your question, but hopefully that spurs some inspiration.
No, I think it definitely did. And I think that's the key with whatever topic I think people are looking at is, we've kind of quite purposely gone quite broad with a lot of our categories, so that people don't necessarily feel too pigeonholed and we're not getting all the same ideas. We're a big kind of think outside the box company. So we want you to do the same in our hacks. But by the same token, as you said, I think the key to all of them is to narrow it in on an idea, preferably something that, like, in your everyday life is impact to you, or something that you kind of feel passionate about, so that you can be that user and you don't have to go and do the user research. You can kind of be that, because in 48 hours it's tricky to get it all done. So yeah, I think that's sufficiently answered the question. A quick comment about HSBC.
I was going to raise that same point. Yeah, so Tim raised a great point. HSBC recently introduced payments in and out notifications for their app, which he said has definitely helped him with tracking expenses. I think it's a very exciting thing, right? I think a lot of banks have been doing that. The existing banks took a little while to catch. There was one of like the initial features of Monzo when that first launched was the second you spend some on that card, your phone buzzes and you're like, oh, I just spent some money. And it's interesting because it's a very interesting feedback loop of spending money because you get a vibration in your pocket every time you spend. And it makes you more conscious of you spending. And then what's freaky is when you get that vibration in your pocket and you've not spent anything, you realize, okay, actually, I am spending money in all the other instances, subscription fees going out, utilities bills pay, like fees going out and things like that. And it just makes you more conscious of how frequently you spend. And I think that has an inadvertent effect to also just make you spend a bit less. But yeah, I think that's a really good use of insistence. And notification to get people back into an app and to reinforce a certain behavior.
Definitely. And yeah, I think, as you say, it kind of perfectly encapsulates the insistence perspective of it. And I think that is something that's interesting, is that kind of awareness around, yeah, you don't always know how much you spend, and you kind of think, oh, especially with things like contactless as well, kind of here and there. And then, like you say, subscription fees, and in lockdown, all the various TV channels that I personally have been subscribing to and everything, and it adds up. So yeah, I think hopefully that's been kind of an idea-filled session for everyone. Hopefully it's helped think with ideas towards the weekend. If there are any questions, still time to kind of ask here, of course, but both me and Sheran, so I'm the kid on Discord, Sheran is Shazam. Hopefully you're all on our server. So yeah, if you do think of any questions retrospectively, if you're watching this session back and you think that's a great point, or I'd like to discuss this a bit further, then you can message either of us separately or just in the general discussion. We'll also have some like idea generation sessions tomorrow when the hack starts, just for anyone struggling still. And that'll kind of just be floating ideas about a similar thing to today, looking at examples for each of the different categories. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, just let us know. But if not, hopefully you've found today.
I will also chime in and say, look out for Justin in the mentor channel. He is from Lloyd's, who's sponsoring the Better Finance category, and he'll be able to give you a lot of insight and a lot of help on that. And I will also share my slides on the Discord channel. So if anyone wants to go back and read them, there's a final page that just summarizes all the principles at the end to make life a bit easier for everyone. But yeah, as Alex said, we're going to be online. You can always reach out to us, utilize the mentor channel, utilize reaching out to us. We're always here to help, and happy hacking. Best luck. Good luck and have fun.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.